Oh, good morning. It's me, Kenny Polcurry, your host of the party. And today is Tuesday, November 15th. And what a day it's setting up to be, right? We've got the PPI, which is the Producer Price Index, due out at 8:30 this morning. We got Home Depot, beats on both the top and bottom line. The stock rallies and then it retreats. We've got Walmart, Nordstrom's, Kohl's, Ross Stores, Lowe's, and a host of others all reporting later in the week. Retail sales are due tomorrow. Housing starts and existing home sales due later on in the week. And Trump is set to announce something. Speculation is running rampant about what that might be. And what are we having tonight for dinner? Or what are you having for another first course if you don't like the raviolis or the Italian wedding soup? Try the potato escarole soup for a first course. This is also very good. Now look, I'm on my way to New York today, this afternoon, and I will be live with Maria Bartiromo tomorrow on Mornings with Maria as a guest host from 6 to 9 in the morning. Thursday, I'll be with Charles Payne at 2 o'clock, and on Friday morning, I'll be with Stuart Varney. So be sure to tune in. Okay, look. Yesterday, stocks fell, right? Bond yields rose. Oil got clobbered, and the dollar, it fell, it rose, it fell, and it rose again to end the day at 106.60. Gold continues to push higher, rising $6 to end the day at $17.75, up significantly from the fall lows of $16.20-ish, right? Overnight Sunday into Monday, we heard from Fed Governor Waller, who was in Sydney, Australia, who told us that don't overthink this. While the pace of increases might slow, the goal is to kill inflation, and the idea that the Fed is about to pivot is completely unfounded. And then during the day yesterday, interestingly enough, we heard from guess who? Vice Chair Lael Brainerd, and she said the same thing. She told Bloomberg, a Bloomberg group gathered in the nation's capital, that it would be appropriate soon for the central bank to slow its pace of interest rate hikes, which the algos took as an admission of a coming pivot, taking stocks higher until she qualified that statement by saying that the Fed has additional work to do to bring inflation down, and that caused the algos to slam on the brakes and go in reverse. Now, she did not commit either way. She didn't say it wouldn't be 75 basis points in December, but nor did she say it was going to be 50. And nor did she define the word soon. So once again, she left it all very kind of confusing for the algorithms. By the end of the day, the Dow fell 211 points, or 0.6. The S&P lower by 36 points, or 0.9%. The Nasdaq lost 127 points, or just over 1%. The Russell down 21 points, down over 1%. And the transports fell by 22 points, just 0.1%. I mean, I got to ask, is anyone else tiring of this back and forth by the algos and the Fed? They all talk, they all send out missed messages while trying to all appear in line, but the way they speak and the intonation they use clearly causes angst and confusion for the algos. So at this point, I say just listen to JJ, who told us that the terminal rate is now at least 5.25%, and it makes no difference how we get there. We're going to get there by March of 2023, which means we'll most likely do 50 basis point hike in December, 50 in January, and then 25 in March, right? That'll get us to 5.25. Now, they could do 75 in December and 50 in January and then pause. That still gets us to 5.25, a bit earlier than March. But if it gets there, and if inflation does not respond to those hikes, then they could raise another 25 in March and take us to 5.25, 5.5. In any event, it's not like you don't know where we're going. You know where we're going. Because if you don't, you've been living under a rock or living in a cave. Now, today we're getting two more economic data points, right, which are going to be very interesting. The first one is going to speak to the state of manufacturing in New York and the Northeast, the Empire Manufacturing Survey, and that's expected to be down by 6 points, which would be up from last month's read of down 9 points. And while this is a relatively important data point, it is sure to be trumped by the 8:30 a.m. PPI report, which will detail the cost of manufacturing new products right at the manufacturing process, right? It speaks to the input costs, because as the input costs rise or fall, the impact of that move ends up being reflected in the following month's CPI. Now, last week we saw CPI rise month over month, but decline year over year. And today we're expecting the same read. On the top line, it's expected to be up 0.4 month over month and up 8.3% year over year, which is down from 8.5% last month. At the core level, which deletes food and energy, is expected to be up 0.3 and up 7.2% in line with last month. Now, look. Just because many think inflation has peaked or that it appears to be in decline after one report, it doesn't mean that it's all clear ahead. Oh, no. The recession is coming, and with it will be plenty of pain as rates continue to rise. Remember, something that we don't talk about very much, but with each increase in the Fed funds rates, we see increases in a range of consumer rates, right? Obvious one, think mortgages, now running at 7.35% for 30-year money and going higher. Think HELOCs, right? Home equity lines of credit. Think adjustable rate mortgages, which can see rates rise as much as 2% from the initial teaser rate in one move. And even more insidious are consumer revolving rates. Think Bloomies, Nordstroms, Home Depot, etc. The latest reports revealing that those creditors are now charging rates as high as 19.4% on revolving credit. And we still have 3 more rate hikes coming before they even consider pausing. Now, some analysts are celebrating a decline in last week's CPI, saying that the Fed hikes are working. Yeah, if you want to buy a new used car, it's great. How's that going to feed your family, pay for your electric bill, or put gas in your car? Every one of those costs continue to rise. And then they say, well, the cost of a house has declined. Great. How does that put food on the table? If you bought your house at $800,000 and now it's only worth $700,000, so what? It means nothing in terms of living your daily life, right? It is a paper loss. It means nothing to you. You have to live somewhere. And if you pay for it outright or locked in a 30-year mortgage, the decline in housing makes absolutely no difference to your day-to-day living expenses that continue to rise. So ready? Back off. Now, remember, we need to see a trend in a real decline. We don't need to see a single data point of a decline. We need to see a trend. And we haven't seen that yet. Now, Treasury yields, which had declined on Friday, rose a bit yesterday and remain inverted. Now in its 21st week, or 6+ months of an inversion. And not one analyst or even considers that any longer. It's like old news, which is funny. Because when they inverted for all of 10 minutes in February, the media was ringing the alarm bells. Oh my God, CNBC's Andy Ross Sorkin became nearly hysterical on TV as he revealed that an inverted yield curve translates into a recession 12 to 16 months out. Okay, so now it's been inverted for 6+ months, which would mean that we can expect it to officially begin in April of 2023, right? That would be 12 months since the start. Can you imagine how hysterical he's going to get then? Okay, so now oil fell sharply yesterday, down 4.2% or $3.70 a barrel to $85.80. And why? Well, the Saudis and OPEC slashed their 2022 demand forecast, which is good considering there's only 6 weeks left in 2022. For the 5th time, they slashed their forecast, citing mounting economic challenges like global inflation, rising interest rates, and ongoing lockdowns in China. This after the International Monetary Fund also made negative comments surrounding the global economic outlook. This morning, oil's down another dollar at $84.90 a barrel, once again breaking its 50-day moving average, leaving it ready to test the October lows of 81.30-ish. Expect the next announcement to be more production cuts by the Saudis to protect prices, right? Because if prices start to fall, the Saudis are going to pull back on production, trying to force prices higher. And remember, Joey's already announced that, he's a buyer at below $72 a barrel. Gold is up $2 at $17.78, while the dollar index continues to come under pressure, down 67 cents at 106. Support will be found at the trend line at 104.90. Now look, the dollar has had a dramatic move up, which many think was overdone. So a pullback to trend line is not a surprise. And if inflation suggests further weakening, then we can expect the dollar to retreat even further with a test of the June lows in the bullseye. That would be 102.5-ish. This morning, stock futures are up. Dow futures up 140, the S&P is up 30, the Nasdaq up 140, the Russell is up 13 points, right? It's a big retail week. This morning, we're going to hear from both Walmart and Home Depot. Walmart's expected to report $1.31 a share, and Home Depot's looking for $4.31 a share. I think Walmart just reported. I didn't see it, but I just see the headline across the tape. Home Depot did not disappoint. They reported 4.25, right? And top line revenues were up as well. So they beat on both lines, and they reaffirmed their guidance. Demand is steady, and the stock traded up $4 or 1.3% before reversing course and going negative, which really isn't a surprise considering that it's rallied 13% in the last 2 weeks ahead of today's report. I suspect that Walmart is also going to not disappoint, and I don't think they did, considering how inflation is eating away at the U.S. consumer. Later in the week, we're going to get Lowe's, Kohl's, JW Nordstrom's, Ross Stores, and more. Tomorrow's going to bring us retail sales data. Let's see how that compares to what the retailers are telling us in their reports. European markets this morning are mixed, trading between down 0.3 and up 0.3%. UK unemployment coming in at 3.6% in the third quarter. Job vacancies decline, but pay continues to increase, suggesting that inflationary pressures are not subsiding. Wednesday, we're going to hear from ECB President Christine Lagarde, and Thursday brings us Eurozone CPI. The S&P last night closed at 39.57, down 35 points after kissing S&P 4,000. Watch today's PPI report. If it's better than expected, then expect the algos to take us higher in one swift move. And if it's stronger, then expect the algos to just go in reverse, right? In any event, will this change the narrative, or will the Fed stay the course? Again, I don't think the story changes at all until we hit a terminal rate of at least 5.25%, which is 1.25% higher from where we are today. Look, the markets are awaiting the big Trump event tonight. How will they react if he announces a run for the presidency? And if he announces tonight, expect that there's going to be Trump fatigue before the end of this year. Right? Remember, just like Hillary fatigue in 2008 during that election cycle when she announced 18 months ahead of the election only to fail as Obama ran her over. Now, the question is, if Trump announces tonight, are we going to see Ronnie or another dark horse that no one expects run Trump over in the months ahead, right? Now, I said that with a tone of hopefulness. Now, look, New York Fed President Johnny Williams and Vice Chair Lael Brainerd are to speak on Wednesday. SEC Chair Gensler is also set to speak on Wednesday, clearly about the FTX disaster and the possibility of others at risk. Minneapolis's Neely Kashkari and Cleveland's Loretta Messer are up on Thursday. So what will they all say? Okay. So now here's another soup that you can consider having either just for dinner one night or as your first appetizer course for your Thanksgiving meal, because it's hearty, it fills your belly. If you're up in the Northeast, it's nice because it feels like it hugs you, right? And it's easy to make, and it goes a long way. And this one is just pureed grated potato, Yukon potato, and escarole soup, right? It's thick and it's rich. And it really makes the perfect starter dish for Thanksgiving, but it also makes a great winter dish, right? You top this with fresh mozzarella, toasted pine nuts, and some sweet yellow raisins. I mean, come on, how good does that sound? Okay, so for this you need the fresh mutts, right? You want to cut it into chunks. You need pinoli nuts, pine nuts, olive oil, chopped onion, Yukon Gold potatoes, peeled and coarsely grated. You need chicken or veggie stock, one or the other. You need fresh escarole, roughly chopped. You need salt and pepper, golden raisins that you're going to soak in hot water for 5 minutes so they plump up again, and then you're going to drain them and set them aside. Now, in a large pot, heat the olive oil over medium-high heat. You want to add a chopped onion, reduce heat to medium, and cook it, right? Uncovered, stirring occasionally for maybe 10 minutes. You know you want to get it all translucent. Now add the grated potatoes. You want to cook that, right? Stirring occasionally, maybe five or 8 more minutes more. Now add the escarole that you've chopped and some salt and pepper. Let it simmer, right? Stir it up, mix it. Continue cooking this covered, stirring occasionally until all the leaves are wilted and tender. It takes about 10 minutes or so. Now you're going to add 1.5 cups of the veggie stock or the chicken stock and bring it to a simmer. Then you're going to take, let it simmer for 20 minutes and then transfer it to a food processor and blend it all. It should be relatively thick. You don't want it really watery. You want it thick. When serving this, you're going to add the chunks of fresh mutts, some toasted pine nuts, and the sweet raisins on top. You can drizzle a little bit more of the olive oil, just a little bit, just if you prefer. You want to serve this in warm bowls, and you want it to be the kind of dish that goes really well as the first course for Thanksgiving, or like I said, it's just fills your belly in the wintertime. In any event, it's a great dish. It's going to be a beautiful day here in South Florida. I'm on my way to New York this afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Until then, take good care.